Hey, today we are talking about counseling with a mental health therapist and what to expect during the sessions. Hi, I'm Dr. B, and I want you to fully enjoy life and experience the freedom that God desires for you and those around you. Now, today, I have a very special guest and one that I call friend and someone I myself talk to when I need a Christian therapist. So please welcome Monte Drenner, the co-owner of MTC Counseling. He's a counselor, a life coach, a guy with a great amount of wisdom and many years helping people in need. So Monte, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to ask a few questions. First of all, just let our viewers know how long you've been serving as a counselor, and in fact, what made you decide to be a counselor?
So when I was in high school, I wanted to be in the military.
Okay.
And fought really hard to get to a scholarship, ROTC scholarship at the University of Florida. That's where I met my lovely wife.
Yeah.
And then went into the Army for 7 years. And then during that time period, realized that that's not really what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to make a career. I wanted to do something that was more impactful. And we, had gotten some help in our lives and then saw the benefit of that. And then we realized, well, if it works for us, it'll work for other people. And that's when we made the break.
Okay.
So that's about 30 years ago.
So you've been doing this for quite a while.
Yes.
I knew that. Let me ask you this. What can people expect when they make a call to you and either come in your office for counseling or maybe visit over the computer virtually? Kind of walk us through what a first counseling session would look like.
So that's a great question because there are some people, and I'll share this story real quick. There was a guy that he came in and I didn't have that conversation with him on the phone. And we were sort of in a hurry and just sort of set it up. And so he sat down on the couch and he goes, "It's my first time. Do you offer like alcohol or anything?" So don't expect that because we work with people in recovery and that would be a very offensive sort of thing. But the main thing that I like to accomplish, one, is make a good emotional connection. Just make sure that it's a good fit and then let them feel safe. Let them see, I'm trustworthy. And then we walk through whatever the issues might be for them. And then I start with some interventions right away just to get the process going. And then from there, we just follow up and see what kind of progress they're making, see if there's anything that we can do different, or we add, new things, interventions to whatever.
What's a typical session time-wise last?
That's usually about 50, 55 minutes.
Now, a lot of therapists use a CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. Can you kind of explain to the audience what that is, and is that the type of therapy you follow?
Well, absolutely. I that's my favorite kind, and I really believe it's my favorite kind because I think it's very biblically based. And cognitive, of course, is the mind, behavior, but because what most people don't understand, every behavior starts with a thought. And what they're trying to do is manage the behavior, for example, drinking, drugging, whatever it is, manage that behavior without changing their thinking, and it doesn't go well. And then what I also do is I draw a triangle. We'll get a nice whiteboard here for the next time. But so there's thoughts and there's emotions also connected to behaviors, because if I don't change my thoughts, then my emotions stay the same, and then the behaviors will change the same. So, and the great thing about the Bible is it helps us to transform our minds, like Romans 12 talks about. And that's what we do. We use biblical interventions to help the thinking.
I know there's people watching that are wondering, I wonder if I need counseling or not. So when does a person, a couple, or even a family need to seek out counseling?
Well, if you think you need it, you probably do. I mean, it's just like if you think you need gas, go get the gas, or if your brakes are bad, get your brakes fixed. So that's what I would recommend. And then just so many times people, they reach out and they don't know what to expect, like you suggested. And then, so as I talk to them on the phone, can kind of calm them down and walk them through what a session might be like and what the expectations are and how often we might meet, things like that. That takes some of the mystery out of it. But counseling is becoming more and more acceptable, mainstream. It's kind of like before it was like, oh, you go to a therapist, and now it's like you don't go to a therapist. I mean, so people are seeing, as a result of the pandemic, I think they're seeing much more the benefit of therapy.
What can a Christian counselor help with, let's say, versus a secular psychologist? What's the difference?
Well, for example, with marriage counseling,
Okay.
that's a really big thing because unfortunately there are just some therapists that, you come to me with your wife
Yes.
and they see the issues and that therapist may suggest like, what are you fighting for? What's the
Yeah.
what's the point? Whereas I think from a biblical perspective, we can provide hope. We can teach
Right.
people how to communicate. We can teach people how to love each other, how to forgive.
Right.
I mean, all those types of things, I think, is the real benefit of spiritual counseling.
Well, no, we've talked about the type of counseling you do, which I know you're very good at drug and alcohol abuse, people that struggle with that, and then family. But tell the audience what other type of counseling that you do.
So one of my specialties is what's called dual diagnosed. And what that means is that someone has two diagnoses. One oftentimes is a substance abuse, but also connected to that many times is something like anxiety or something like depression, something like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia,
Okay.
these types of more serious mental health issues. And so many times families are just lost.
Right.
If I don't see the individual, I oftentimes just see the family
Okay.
and help them how to manage the situations that they find themselves into. And, people that have been suicidal, people that have been Baker acted.
Okay.
I mean, we deal with some pretty intense things.
Now, I know that one thing that we probably should talk just a little bit about is that some people need medication.
Yes.
Can you touch on that a little bit?
Well, yeah, and I'm not in a position to prescribe
Right,
it.
right.
You have to be an MD, psychiatrist, whatever, to prescribe that. But I've worked a lot with psychiatrists.
Okay.
I work with local psychiatrists. I've worked with psychiatrists in the past in residential treatment centers, and I've learned a lot about medications. So
Okay.
a lot of times people come and they just start taking meds and they don't really understand them. They didn't ask the questions when they had the
Yeah.
opportunity with a doctor or a nurse. So I'm able to educate them as well. I can't change their meds, but I
Okay.
can sometimes suggest something that might work better for them.
Now, if people are still uncomfortable coming to, let's say, your office, I know you have an office in Windermere, what's virtual counseling look like?
Well, there's a lot of people that, for whatever reason, they don't like that. I mean, I've had people, they worked from home and they lived alone, and they
Right.
say, "I'm coming to your office if I got
Okay.
to walk." I mean, so there was that intensity. But then there's some people just out of convenience they want to do the virtual.
Okay.
And personally, the virtual thing is harder for me as a therapist to make an emotional connection.
Right.
I mean, it's just a different
Okay.
setting. But some people do it for convenience. Some people, they have kids and they can't get a babysitter or whatever, so they do it from home. There's a lot of reasons
Okay.
and advantages of doing it from home, but I always encourage people to come in if they're
Yeah.
able to.
Okay, if someone who's watching wants to get with you for counseling, what's the best way to do that?
Well, we have a couple different ways. One is their phone number, 321-663-4517. Feel free to call or text that number. Also, we have a website, mtccounseling.com. People reach out to us through that. And we also have a Facebook page, MTC Counseling. So any of those ways they'll be able to find us.
And I'll make sure that information is in the description below so you can go there. But thank you for what you do and how you help people. So if you're watching and would like to get and work with a great biblical counselor, feel free to contact Monte. He's one that does more than just try to help people with their problems. He loves and cares for them as well. He counsels with great wisdom and trusts God for the outcome. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If it was helpful, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you will always know when we post new content. Have a wonderful day as you continue finding freedom in your life.